that we have going on here in my favorite city in the world, and that's Orlando, Florida. And so, as we're kicking it off here, let us know where you guys are watching from. We've got a packed show for you guys tonight. It's kind of lean and mean, 20, 30 minutes, and we're going to be out. But make sure you ask questions and comments and make sure that it's real clear down below why you guys came here. That stuff helps me out. But today's stories that we're going to be talking about have to do with the new Disney campus over in Lake Nona. Is that moving forward? Is it not? We're going to be talking about some breaking news that just recently happened with Universal, actually just a couple hours ago, that I'm really excited to chat with you guys about tonight, and a bunch of other projects. So yeah, let me know where you guys watching from. We got Winston checking in from the Space Coast already. Let's see. Christmas Carol Bueller, what's going on? Holly says, checking in from St. Louis, finally catching a video. Well, thank you so much for watching live. I definitely appreciate you hanging out for sure. So let's get into the first biggest topic, and I think why people are checking out. What's going on, Riley from Kissimmee? Nancy from Oregon, I appreciate that. Joel, what's going on from NYC? I feel like we had a lag. All of a sudden, a bunch of people just jumped in to the chat, so I appreciate it. Kim from Connecticut, I appreciate you checking in tonight. But let's get on with it. What's up, Raquel from Texas? All right, so this is a big one. So let's go through here and chat about it. So if you guys didn't know, Disney is looking to build a almost $1 billion campus over in the Lake Nona area. And last year they announced, hey, we're moving 2,000 jobs, or in 2021 and into 2022, they're moving 2,000 jobs from California. And then the stock market starts tanking, and you had everything going on with Bob Chapek and Bob Iger, and people kind of started thinking maybe the Lake Nona campus wouldn't happen. And as a homeowner in the Lake Nona area, we've got an investment property over there. I was kind of bummed. I'm like, I want to see this area continue to flourish and continue to build out, but it sort of went quiet. And so I've been going through permitting and figuring out if there's any scuttle, like what's going on about that, and if we can hear anything that's coming into the area. And then I kind of stumbled upon this. And so this shows Walt Disney Dynamic Campus at Lake Nona. This was actually filed on 12/12. It's a $50 million addition, and it's going into pre-design, which essentially means that they're getting ready to start actually moving this thing forward. And while they might not build it out until 26 and have it finished and have people move there, it does appear that based on the filings that they are actually moving forward. And then you try to go down in the structural details of it and says, what is this for? It's the campus offices for Imagineers and other professionals. So it'll be interesting to see. I haven't heard any news. And sometimes with Disney, they just go quiet for a while. A lot of these big companies go quiet and then bam, it happens. And so when I start to see some of this stuff pop out, I'm excited. And obviously for the location, growing out town center, bringing this many like high paying jobs to the area is also really good. And who knows? I mean, we're in 2023 now. Welcome to 2023, by the way. And I think that over the next 3 years, it's going to be interesting. I feel like we're in for a bit of a rocky year for real estate and the job market and stock market and all that kind of stuff. But time will tell. I think 2-3 years from now, we're going to be in a much better spot and this campus opens. So let me know. What do you think down below? Yasmin from Laureate Park, speaking of Lake Nona, good to see you. Tim checking in from Rockland County, New York, soon to be Claremont by the end of the year. Well, welcome. Sounds like you're doing a new construction over there. What's going on, Michelle and Jeff from KHOV in Celebration? Good to see you. Travis, my man, time for some golf, man, for sure. What's going on, Diz Deb, watching from Georgia, soon to be a new homer in Winter Garden. What's up, neighbor? Good to see you. Tom checks in from cold, dark, rainy Massachusetts. One other question I wanted to ask you guys today as we're kind of kicking off. So as you're checking in where you're from, that's awesome. Make sure you give us the like there. It pushes it out, lets more people on YouTube know that we went live. But I want to know, what are you guys most excited for in 2023? Many of you are checking in because you're buying a house this year, and that's cool. You're just excited to move to Orlando, or maybe you're just excited about one of these things going on in the area. So let me know. Let's get into story number 2. This is one that actually, again, just broke not too long ago and very exciting to me. Breaking: Universal to create a special district. It kind of sounds like special district, Disney special district, for Sunrail Convention Center connection. Now, I'll tell you what, I love Universal. More and more, I've been spending time at Universal and just kind of very impressed with the forward thinking and fast movement of this company. When you look at Epic Universe that's coming to the area, you look at a lot of things that they're investing in, more experiences. They're just going really hard after the tourism dollars in our area. And I got to respect it. I really do. But one of these things that's popping out is they're going to bring a Sunrail station right over to the Orange County Convention Center. This is a really big deal because you're going to be able to connect the Orlando International Airport to the convention center, which is right next door to Epic Universe. And so what they said that they're going to do is they're not only going to front the money for it, but they're also going to guarantee $13 million of operation funds, $13 million in annual ticket purchases, the equivalent of annual operating cost for the entire Sunshine Corridor. The district only pays if the ticket sales don't reach $13 million in a year, and the commitment ensures that the corridor won't operate at a loss. And that's one of the things with Sunrail right now is that people wish that it operated Monday through Friday, super late or Sunday to Saturday rather, and actually passed when people would really want to use it. It's like 5, 6, 7 o'clock at night. It's just a limited kind of run. And so if they can get this operating from the airport over to convention center, I think that as the convention center continues to build out and Epic Universe continues to build out, this is a massive win. And I start to think like, why, if I'm Universal, what's the thinking behind it? I think that do they say, hey, listen, at Disney, they used to have the Magical Express. Now you can just jump on the Sunrail, take it over here to Epic Universe, go right into your hotel room. You're golden. It's, free or freemium, depending on maybe where you're staying. They give you a ticket, and then they don't have to worry about the operational costs of buses and people back and forth. But it's a really big win when you have a straight shot from the airport to Universal. So I think it's brilliant on their behalf. I really definitely think so. With the $1 billion they're spending over at Epic Universe, why not kind of ensure your investment? And from the tourism perspective, you have the Orlando County Convention Center that's going to do super well as well. So I think this is so cool. You guys are checking in with what's going on from what's going on. Sorry, what you're most excited about. Lauren says she's checking in from Golden Oak, but you definitely don't live there. Chuck Dow, I think there's a fake account of yours DMing me. If you saw this, if you're watching or listening to the podcast, by the way, we take all of this audio and on Mondays we replay it for our podcast. So if I'm referencing things a little bit more in detail, I want to make sure the people listening at home know exactly what we're talking about. But for some reason, I had this run over on Instagram where people are basically impersonating me for spam or for crypto or some garbage like that. A bunch of them. And so if it's at Ken Pozek, that's the only one I have. And if it's got a double K or other kind of saying, that's not me. Brooke says she's excited to buy a house, hopefully soon in Winter Garden. That's awesome. What's up, John from Holland, PA? Good to see you. Yasmin says, I'm excited for my first trip to Disneyland and compare it to Walt Disney World. Yasmin, I'm going to Disneyland in March, and for the first time, I'm really excited. I've said I was going to go for so many years, and I just never have. And we're going to be doing Disneyland and a little bit of Alani. So, gosh, I am massively excited about that. First time for both. Christmas says, our granddaughters did volleyball camp over at Christmas break with Phil in Lake Nona, and we loved the area. Had been leaning towards Winter Garden before that. Yeah, there's a lot going on in Winter Garden beyond. There's just a ton going on. You've got the town center. You've got the USTA over there with, I think it's the biggest tennis practice facility in like the world, or at least the country. You've got what's going on with KPMG. You've got the Veterans Hospital, the Children's Hospital. You've got the medical school. Like there's just so much stuff going on in Lake Nona. So you add on a $1 billion development by Disney, and I think that makes it just even better. So yeah, definitely check it out. Let's see. Michelle says, after 9 months of unpacking and getting into a new house, you're looking forward to exploring Central Florida. Well, welcome. I appreciate that. Tim says, how do I get a free Ken Pozek t-shirt? Free? I don't know. If you buy a house, they come included. But I'm sure we could work something out if you shoot me a DM on Instagram. But let's keep going down here on some other stories that I found that I think are interesting for people living here or thinking about moving here. Toll relief program started this week. It began January 1st, and it's supposedly to help 1.2 million drivers. And Governor DeSantis put this in place that basically if you use the toll program, if you use a toll road more than 35 times in a month, which is super easy. If you think about if you have to use it for work and you're using it one time there, one time home, that's 2. And so you do that easily in a month. I'm personally using it probably 100 times in a month, but they're giving a 50% credit to your account if you use the toll roads 35 times or more in a given month, all the way through the end of this year. And for the average consumer, it's going to save them roughly $400. For me, it'll probably save me significantly more than that. But I think this is great. One of the reasons I think they're doing this is just inflation and a lot of things going on. But the other piece, I think that you're trying to get more people to use the toll roads. I think if they can get people to buy in to use the toll roads even more, then they will be able to alleviate what's going on I-4 and some of the more bottleneck areas. And so I'm excited. I mean, I'm already using the toll roads, so it's just a massive win for me either way. Speaking of Universal, what's going on? Diz Deb, you said that you're closing on your new home in Winter Garden in a few months and then spending more time at Disney. I tell you what, there's nothing like moving to Orlando. I'm going to slow down here and just really not want to pass over that massive accomplishment that you just have, Deb. Moving here is amazing because there's so much to do. And like, if you love Disney, awesome, go there. I love Disney. I'm always there, but the theme parks, always new rides, always new things to do, festivals. Just, it's a lot of fun. You're going to love it if you use it. I think a lot of people will move here and then wonder, like, are they actually going to use it or not? And then maybe they don't get the park passes, or maybe they just, life gets in the way. And I have some people that call me and they say, I just thought it was going to be, if I live in downtown Winter Garden, I just thought it would be like Disney all the time. Well, listen, or like any city, like you got to actually take advantage of the amenities to enjoy the amenities. So I hope that you do. Going back over to Universal news, and this is again not really theme park related, but it's Universal doing it. I talked about this last year, and I want to kind of add on to what they're doing over there at Universal, because you've got this 1,000 affordable apartments in Orlando. And I talked last week around Disney, and they're doing their affordable apartments and where those are. And some of you reached out afterwards and asked me, hey, are those going to be for sale? Is it going to be like affordable housing for sale? Like, can I get in on that? They haven't said either way, but I have to believe that it's just going to be apartments. The same way they've got cast member housing, I think it's going to be the same thing, but just for maybe not for the college program, just for all of their people that work there. But if you look at what Universal's doing, they're doing more of the same. And if you look at where it's at, it's going to be 1,000 rent-controlled apartments on 20 acres of land between Trade Show Boulevard and Destination Boulevard. And if you look, I mean, they look awesome. I mean, it's just like any apartment complex that we have here in Orlando. But here's where it's going to go. And this is why I want to point it out, because you've got Vista K, which used to be owned by Disney. This is where cast members used to live, some of them. Now it got sold to a real estate investment trust. Then you got Universal's Housing for Tomorrow, which I think is great opportunity. Then you've got Future Epic Universe right above it. And then you're going to have the Sunrail station not too far from here with the new one that's coming out. And so I look at this, I'm like, okay, so they're going to have their team members. I think that, Universal team members are going to be able to live there. You've got Epic Universe right there. You've got all this other kind of stuff. I think if you're in the Williamsburg area, I talked about this last week, if we can get some rezoning for some more short-term rentals over there, that could be like a really it spot for Orlando and really kind of take Universal into that next phase. And I think that's really exciting for everybody, because the more you have both of these theme parks, the more of you have them kind of going at each other, the better it is for all of us. The experiences get better, the parks get better, the service gets better, the offerings, all of that stuff improves. And so that's just part of the fun for living here. What's going on, my friend? In New York, if you use Easy Pass, it's about half the price. Yeah, we get a discount already if you use Easy Pass, if you set it up on like automatic payment and all that sort of thing. But I think this is an additional one over on top of that. Christmas Carol says, important note, Lake Nona has excellent cell tower coverage versus Greater Orlando, and especially in Horizon West. I'll tell you what, we live in Horizon West. Our cell phone coverage is terrible. We have Verizon. I have friends with AT&T. I have friends with all types of different ones, and it's just tough. They have not kept up with it not being an orange grove anymore. And it's a place where tens of thousands of people live. And so, yes, I agree. Over in Lake Nona, you actually have some exciting things where you can actually use your phone. Go figure. All right, let's make sure I don't miss anything. John says, I think the toll program is great. Toll roads will definitely help the traffic on I-4. Yes, my friend, for sure. What's up, Joe? Good to see you, man. Joe Horan, I appreciate you checking in from the Orlando Economic Partnership. I got some stuff to talk to you about, so make sure we connect this week. What's up, Henrik? I live lived in Horizon, Windermere, Winter Park, but now you're in Brazil. Well, thanks for watching from Brazil. I appreciate it. Let's keep going on things. This is, speaking of tourism and just crazy stuff that we have in Orlando. This is one of them. This just moved over from Melbourne, Florida into Orlando. And, and I saw this and I freaked out. So if you guys are listening back at home, this is Tank America. And you can quite literally drive a tank, shoot a tank with your friends. And so on the screen, I've got the different packages. You've got basic tank training, advanced troop packaging, and then the ultimate package, which allows you to traverse the course, the obstacles using only the periscope as guidance from your tank commander. I don't know. Other than Orlando, where are you going to do this stuff? The video that showed here, it's a tank going over a car. And I am excited. You had like Machine Gun America, which you could come shoot guns. This was a thing people really got into. It was kind of expensive, honestly, for Machine Gun America. But then I started looking at this. I think it's $1,500 for the tank experience, which I don't know. I mean, if you're going to do experiences, why not drive a tank? I mean, it makes sense to me. But let me know if you've done this already. If down in the comments, please let me know. Am I missing out? Is it look as cool as, is it as cool as it looks? Because it looks really, really cool to me. Let me check in on some comments here. Yasmin says, hit the like. I so appreciate that. Oh, this is a great one. So Enchanted Nomads. Am I doing any Run Disney events this weekend? So I had the full marathon. My first one, I was so excited. I've signed up, I've got the ticket, and then I ended up having like a kind of quick surgery, and then my training got way behind. And so I can run a half marathon, no problem, like super easy at this point. But the marathon, I couldn't get up to 20 miles. And my run coach was like, if you don't get to 20 miles, you probably shouldn't do it because you're going to end up hurting yourself. And so I tried to call Run Disney and say, hey, can I downgrade to a half marathon? Wouldn't let me do it. Not as magical of an experience over at Run Disney as some of the other places with Disney. I know they're separately run and all that kind of stuff, but I was kind of bummed. Machine Gun North Virginia. What's up, Chris Colgan? He says Machine Gun America is way overpriced. So where you live, Chris, in Virginia, I did a machine gun experience there, and it was also rather expensive. We got like 5 or 6 guys to go in on it, but man, you get to kind of shoot some guns that you never would have anywhere else. Chris says, do I ever think Universal could be more popular than Disney? I don't think more popular, but as popular, I do actually. The more I think about people's behavior patterns and where they're trying to unplug, I think there's a lot of parents that they love Disney, their kids love Disney, they're all into the shows, they love visiting, but they want something else. Or as their kids get a little bit older, maybe Harry Potter's or Marvel or some of the other things that Universal has that Disney doesn't have. And so my travel agent friends tell me that more so than ever, people are doing split vacations where they're spending 2 to 3 days, 2 to 4 days at Disney, and then another 1 to 4 days at Universal. And I think the more that this happens, the more Universal is just going to continue to lean in on it the way that they're doing right now. Third park, paying for the train to come from the airport, all this kind of stuff, I think, allows them to continue to take market share for sure. All right, let's keep going on our adventure together. So Pulte Group secures land for more homes in Dr. Phillips. This is by the Growth Spotter. And this is a continuation to a video that I put out earlier this week because I do think that people are starting to gravitate towards smaller homes. I think that the way that the pricing has gotten here in Orlando and really everywhere in the country, it got crazy everywhere, but Orlando is more expensive than it ever has been. Interest rates are as higher than they ever have been. So we're getting a lot of calls from clients buying houses, and they want quality, but smaller is okay. They want land over the big brown box. They don't want 4,000 square foot house and 0 yard and minimal finishes. And I personally resonate with that. I would much rather have a 3,000 square foot house completely dialed in instead of a 5,000 square foot house that had basic everything. And so I look at what Pulte is doing here. This is an interesting one because this is over by O-Town West. They took down more land. They spent $14 million to buy 35 more acres. I'm sorry. They spent $14 million last year to buy 35 acres. And then now they spent another $10 million to add in there over in O-Town West. And so if you look at the photo here, basically you've got the new high school, Lake Buena Vista High School right here. And then right above it, this is going to be the neighborhood that Pulte is going to build out. And so what's interesting when I read this article is that they're talking about Pulte will offer, instead of much like Phillips Grove, which is right across the street, where they had all estate size houses, all luxury, big houses over $1 million. Instead, in Phillips Grove, they're going to be offering entry level houses in the 4, 5, 600 range, which I know that sounds crazy to think 400 is an entry level home, but it is in Orlando, especially new construction. And then half of the neighborhood is going to be that more luxury product. And so I think they're very smart to do this. The way that people are getting more budget conscious, especially going into what's going into right now. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. The lots are still a little small. They're 40 and 50-foot lots. But if you want new construction in this ridiculously cool area of Orlando that's really up and coming, I think you pay for it, if that's what you're after. So O-Town West, this is going to be called, what do they call this? Parkview Reserve by Pulte Homes. So I think it's a good one. Here's a fun one. Oh, I got to jump over to the comments real quick, make sure. Oh man, yeah. Enchanted says, we're hoping to find a 3,000 square foot house on an old piece of land with the mature live oak trees in an established neighborhood that has history and a little culture to it. Well, Enchanted, we actually shot a video today, actually going through 3 areas of downtown Orlando that are specifically older. So it was, we showed off the Conway area, the Soto area, and Delaney Park. And all 3 are, houses built in the 50s and 60s. There's crazy old oak trees with the moss hanging down. And so you can easily find some larger lots there and either find an old house that needs a little bit of love, or there's plenty of people tearing down and building new on top of it. And so we're bumping up about 160 people watching live. And if you haven't yet, if you don't mind hitting the like, and then drop down a comment, let me know, why are you here? What are you excited about in 2023? Because I'm stoked to be here. That's for sure. What's going on, Chris in Miami? I appreciate you checking out. Christmas says, Parkview Reserve is right by us. It's a great area, everything within minutes away. Williamsburg is great. I agree. So Williamsburg, again, I think is going to be the next big thing, especially if they get the short-term rental thing out. I don't know. I'm usually a big proponent of short-term rental. I'm not a huge Airbnb guy. In general, I like that the city of Orlando puts so many reserves on it. Or different, stipulations around Airbnb. But if they had a few neighborhoods over there that really catered to it, I think they would do really, really well. All right. So there's a few other things. So I came over this is funny. Google puts out local year in review searches for all different areas. And they did one for Orlando as they do every area. And so this was kind of fun, I thought, to go through. So Orlando, Florida was the only place in the country with snake juice as its top trending recipe. I was like, what? And then you can click on it, figure out what is snake juice. Snake juice recipe is it's a diet juice recipe. Apparently it's a detox. I don't know, really big over on Pinterest apparently, but that was a top trending recipe. Capybara was Orlando's area's top trending animal, which has to be, to me, I'm like, is there some sort of Disney Plus show that had that on it? I don't know. Keep going here. The Orlando, Florida area was one of the only 2 places that had sandbags as a trending search with near me, quote unquote, in the search. The other area was Tampa, Florida. And Tampa is obviously right down the road from us. So that makes sense. We had a wild hurricane season, that's for sure. Of the 6 places that had Indian restaurant as a top trending near me search, the Orlando area searched it for the most. And I don't know that I've had amazing Indian food. And so if you have a favorite Indian food restaurant, please let me know. I'm happy. Would love it. Go check it out for sure. Let's keep going. Rap was Orlando area's top searched music genre this year. That's fair. And then here's where it changes. So top trending near me searches in Orlando, Florida: sandbags, gas, cheapest gas, Pilates coming in at number 4, food pantry, plasma donation, barbershop. I'm always looking for a good barbershop. I've got a good one over in Village Barbershop in Windermere, but sometimes they're booked up months in advance or a month in advance. So sometimes I need a good barbershop. Estate sales. I love a good estate sale. Bingo. And then lastly, Indian restaurant. So did you guys use any of these? Are these kind of like, is this something you're the whole near me feature? I've never used it, but people talk about it all the time. So it has to be a big deal. But the whole real estate agent near me, or I don't know, best Mexican restaurant near me. I didn't know that this was such a popular feature, but let me know. Is this something that you guys use or no? What's up, Damien? Good to see you. You're parkside at Cherry Lake in Groveland. What's up, man? The Groveland, man. That's the next one. NYC says, Capybara is a teenager thing. I had to travel to New Jersey to see one. Nima says, we're looking forward to moving to Orlando in 2023 once our house is built. Lots of people moving here in 2023. That is so exciting. Sean says, it's been a while. Sadly moved to South Carolina. Oh man, I didn't know that. I'll be back to Orlando soon. Am I going to do the Disneyland half? So this is, yes, apparently there's a bi-coastal run going on next year, and I will definitely be taking part. I love the Disney runs in general. I mean, you've got so many fans all running. It's like crazy high. I've run in a lot of different places, and there's really nothing like a Disney run, that's for sure. Enchanted says, we use food near me because we travel a lot and we don't know what's in the area. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Let's keep going. We got a few other things to talk about tonight. The Orlando Business Journal came out with a good story today. So the wave of new projects with 1,000 apartments enters the Orlando pipeline. We talked about this last week, that Orlando, they say, needs 10,000 new apartment buildings to handle what we need here in regards to people moving here. This is fascinating to me because I see apartment buildings everywhere when I look around, but I have talked to many clients who've called in and said, hey, we want to buy a house because even though interest rates are high, our apartment just raised our rent $500 on the renewal, or just crazy amounts, which really shows to me that there's still plenty of people that are moving here and that are renting. They're sitting on the sidelines because they're not sure what's going to happen in the real estate market, which I get. But renting is still really expensive. And so when you look at the amount of people moving here, we need 10,000 or so new apartments over the next 2 to 3 years. So here's 1,000 coming of them. A trio of rezoning requests in Orange County could pave the way for nearly 1,000 apartments in the Valencia College East Campus and south of Orlando International Airport. Documents include these 3 requests should also include a Miami-based developer in the wave of new projects. So here you got it down here, kind of west of the Lake Nona region, and then over by Valencia. So this is interesting to me. And I am curious, if you're in an apartment currently, what has your average renewal gone up over the past 6 months? I got to know. If you're renting right now, I want to hear some stories on people's rent, because I know, like, we raised rent on some of our rentals this year, not much, like $50, $75. And one of my tenants came back to me. Hopefully, even if they're watching, I don't care. I don't think this is like too private, but they came back to me. They're like, we actually went out and started shopping apartments. And when we compared it to where we're renting with you, this seems like a deal still. And I'm like, oh, shoot, maybe I should raise the rent higher. I'm not going to, but it was interesting to me to hear how high apartment rents are getting. And so Ranger, the dog, says that he got a $40 per month raise in apartments. Yeah, please let me know down below if you're renting, whether it's an apartment or a house. I'm kind of curious. Here we go. So Sean says, as somebody who just left an apartment in Horizon West, our apartment had a lot of vacancies. In Horizon West, our renewal would have been $3,400 for a 2-bedroom near Flamingo Crossing. And for those of you who don't know where Flamingo Crossing is, you're like 10 minutes from Disney. Yeah, $3,400 for a 2-bedroom apartment. And so, Sean, my curiosity is, I wonder if they raised it so high because they're like, hey, we'd rather have a few vacancies and take advantage of the really high rent, or I don't know. But they're also building a lot more over in the Horizon West area as well. I know Chuck Woodall at Unicorp has a space over there right not too far from you. Joanne Rakowski says $200 increase that they had in apartment rent. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild to me how expensive things are getting with that. And so, speaking of the 1,000 new units in Orlando, I started going in because if we are, everybody's talking recession, we're talking the Fed, we're talking about inflation, we're talking about all these kind of things that are putting a hamper on so much of what's going on here in our country, not even just Orlando. And so it got me thinking, I wonder if I go into the permitting, where I do a lot of my studying, and find out, has permitting slowed down and what's going on overall? And what was interesting to me is I saw that there were plenty of places that had been abandoned or delayed. We had 127 projects, both either abandoned or delayed. The design and negotiation phase, essentially, which means like, hey, if I'm a developer, you have a bunch of different phases. One is as pre-design, you're trying to figure out, hey, does this make sense? You're going to the city, you're getting, hey, let me get this rezoned. Let me kind of get a few things worked out before we move forward. Then you've got the bidding and negotiation phase where you bring in all of your contractors and say, hey, okay, we're going to finally bid this out to move forward. And then you've got your design, and then finally your construction, where you're actually moving forward. When I look at what's actually going on in the bidding and negotiation, as well as the design and construction phase, it has not slowed down at all. The construction and design here, these numbers are massive. And when I look at what's going on, the number, like the dollar volume of what's trading in the commercial and residential space, we're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars here in Orlando. And so things are still moving forward, kind of like almost nothing's happening. Now, I know money is getting more expensive for a lot of these people. So maybe they took a little bit of a pause to figure out how they could pay for this stuff. But when I'm looking over here, the permitting's still super strong, which to me means that things are going to kind of move forward. They think that it makes more sense to move forward than pause and lose the potential upside of the 2-3 years of just kind of sitting on the light on the sidelines. Very interesting to me. Justin, so man, I've been following. Justin says, any updates on the JW Marriott residences downtown? So I know that that's in design phase right now. And so they're saying that they're going to break ground sometime in the next year. And then I think they're going to start delivery in the next 2 to 3 years. And if that's the case, like I'm very excited. I hope to be able to help some people move there for sure. Vivian says, currently in Houston, moving to Orlando next month since our rent went up $350 for a 1-bedroom apartment. Woo! Goodness gracious. What's going on, Ollie? Watching from Cape Canaveral. Appreciate you checking in. So Leo says, can I recommend 3 up-and-coming neighborhoods to invest in? So I think partly you have to look at what's your buy box, like what's important to you. Some people love investing in new construction because you can buy it and then you don't have to touch it for 10 years or 7 years, depends on the roof and AC. It's all brand new. So maybe you have paint and carpet or something like that. And if you're looking new construction, I'm a big fan of like the Sunbridge area and like Lake Nona, if it's in your buy box in terms of affordability. I'm also a big fan of Claremont. I think Claremont has a lot of opportunity right now. A lot of builders bending over backwards to do deals. If you look in the Wellness Way area, there's a lot of things where you can get, I think, a really good opportunity, but some really solid rental people. So if you're looking new construction, I like those 2 areas. If you're looking for resale, like you want something to maybe buy, fix up a little bit, and then rent out, I'm a big fan of the downtown area. The 3 that I mentioned earlier on the video that we're launching on Tuesday, take a look at that video because I think all 3 areas they've got duplexes. If you're into buying duplexes, they've got smaller residential that will cash flow. And so it just depends what specifically you're looking for. All right. So I got a couple more things for us and we're going to wrap up for the night. We actually went longer. You guys were super engaged. I appreciate everybody showing up on Thursday. I got 2 more things we're going to wrap up, and really it has to do with the real estate market. What's going on? I do this on every one of our lives. So this is what's going on over the past 7 days. And for those of you who have never watched before, I go over the 5-county area: Orange, Osceola, Polk, Lake, and Seminole counties, what's going on in the real estate market. And this is a really good overall view. And so in the past 7 days, there's been less than 600 new homes, which is a really low number. 600 homes hit the market. You look at the number sold, 937, which is a big number. That's everybody that was kind of pending and excited through the holiday season. And then pending. This number to me matters a lot because you basically look at how many homes went pending, how many hit the market. And as long as pending is outpacing new listings, we are not in a bubble type situation or a curiosity. People wonder what a crash is, what that's going to look like. One of the factors you look for is, do you have a ton more houses on the market than are actually selling? And right now we're in a very, very balanced market. In fact, if you look at just the straight facts, this has been very interesting to watch. I put out a video just last week on some predictions on what I thought was going to happen. And I said, hey, listen, I think the market's probably going to pull back somewhere between like 3 and 6%. But over the past week, just what's closed, months of inventory has dropped under 3 months. So we're really in trending towards a seller's market, kind of right on the bubble of a balanced market. But the average median price went up like 11 grand over last month. So almost 1.5% over the past month. So it's interesting. I think that people in our comment section on my videos are constantly pointing out, oh, this is 2023 is going to be the year we finally crash. They said that in 19, 20, and 21. Who knows, right? I'm just trying to keep you up to date on what's going on right now so that you can make the best decision for you and your family whenever that comes. And so anyways, that's about it. Marina asks, have I heard from the mayor yet? There's no way he hasn't seen this channel. You never know. You really never know. I feel like, so if you guys don't know, I've been trying to get a hold of Mayor Dyer. Mayor Demings would do as well. But I'm just curious, like, what if instead of, or I think we should continue with Visit Orlando. They do an amazing job pushing tourism for our area. But why don't people talk more about like how amazing a city is. And obviously I do this for Orlando, but from a governmental perspective, why don't they have people out there pushing out how amazing it is, getting more jobs to the area, getting more people to the area? It's interesting to me. I think, so I think it'd be fun. You and me, Mayor Dyer, we should get together and we should chat a little bit. I'm going to wrap up with a couple questions and then we're going to finish up here. Quezi Wilker says, any thoughts on new constructions in Western Way? There's a lot of new construction around Western Way. You have Toll Brothers, you've got Meritage, you've got MI Homes, you've got Ashton Woods. It's Horizon West is new construction central, although I think it'll be wrapped up in the next 4 years. And so now is kind of your last chance if you really want to take advantage of it. And so, you're super close to Disney. You're only 35 minutes from the airport. There's a lot to like about it, which is why it's one of the fastest places to go. Unlisted. Michigan does have a whole team. You're right. I think it's like, was it Move Michigan? Remind me. I remember it was Tim Allen used to actually, because Tim Allen's from Michigan. He was the voice of the Michigan kind of like tourism, come visit us, come move here kind of thing. And weirdly enough, Michigan, I think, was the top 4 I saw this year. Yeah, last year, top 4 place people are leaving. Go figure. Oh, you're right. It's Ranger the Dog. Mayor Francis Suarez does the promotion for Miami. He does. He's out there on Twitter. He's out on constantly. He's on the rotation for every influencer online, pushing about how much he wants Miami to be the next tech hub, the next Silicon Valley. He's out there everywhere. I love Mayor Dyer. I think he does a great job. He's been around for quite some time, but I think that we could level up in regards to just, attracting more people here. I think the tourism industry and the hospitality industry is amazing. It's a breeding ground for so many technological and service industry people that rivals anything else. But if we had some more diversification with tech and aviation and defense, like we're already starting to see, and people leaned into that harder, I think that you would give a place for these folks to go. So we already have UCF, the biggest public college in the country. And if we had feeders for them to be able to stay, that's a really important part on growing a very thriving city. I think if you could figure out how to make downtown a little bit more exciting, a little bit more beyond just Orlando Magic, which I love recently, by the way, they're doing great. If you could make downtown like this buzzing area filled with business and people that wanted to live down there. And then you also had the theme park area and you kind of cohesively put those two together, I think we would be America's next great city. And so that's what I'm after. That's what I want to see happen. Brooke asks, what would cause price increases? So it's supply and demand overall. If there's not enough homes on the market, you have buyers that are willing to pay full price and sometimes a little over asking. In fact, I sold a house in Celebration this weekend. We had multiple offers. I haven't seen multiple offers in like 3 months. And all of a sudden, boom, we had 3 offers. One of them is cash. And so it could be the time of year. It could be just a lack of inventory, but that's what causes pricing to increase. Jeff says, what is the inventory range that you said was a balanced market, neither buyers or sellers market? So Jeff, what economists and real estate folks would say is anything 1 to 3 months on the market is trending sellers market. Obviously, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, we had 0.5% or 0.5 months of inventory. So basically the strongest sellers market that you ever could imagine. 3 to 6 months, we considered a balanced market. So the fact that we're at 2.82 months supply of homes, that's actually a very healthy place to be between 3 and 6 months. And then once you get over 6 months, it's a buyer's market. It's anything goes. Usually the market's declining and you see a lot of crazy deals happen. So right now we're in that trending, right in that balanced market, almost edging towards sellers because of inventory being low. Awesome question. Going back to the question, Quezi Wilker asked about, those are all Hartzog Road. Hartzog, no, they're actually up and down Avalon Road. So yeah, Hartzog, Avalon, that whole strip in Horizon West is where so much new construction's going on. That's about it for this week. I so appreciate you guys again tuning in. We're going to wrap up today. Every Thursday, 7:00, we're doing this. Come with questions. I will try to bring you the most up-to-date information on stuff going on in Orlando. And until then, I hope you have an amazing